Thank you for joining the Prosperous Sellers podcast. I've got a special guest, Jana Krekic. Is that right?
That's it.
All
Nailed
right.
it.
Thanks for joining us. For the audience that doesn't know me, I'm Steve Yates, CEO of Prime Guidance, and Jana is renowned in the translation space. So, Jana, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. First of all, thank you so much for having me on your podcast.
Sure.
And a little bit about me. So I'm the founder and CEO of YLT Translations, and we are a leading Amazon dedicated translation localization company. We've been around for approximately 6 years now, and now we are a team of 75 people. We are a fully remote team, and we help sellers expand to international marketplaces, mostly non-English marketplaces. And I like to say that we translate their listings into sales, not just word-by-word translations.
Yeah, and I can vouch for that too. You've helped some of our clients do great things globally. So it's exciting to see how you're able to translate U.S. language items into various countries and do it so seamlessly. So not all solutions can do it the way you do with localized people in local regions that actually know the space, which is a big advantage for you. And I bet you get that question a lot, like, why do I need a translation service when I've got AI? What do you say to that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is always an opening question to anyone talking to me. They're just like, "Oh, I love what you do, but like, can I ask you a question?" I'm like, "Of course, it's going to be an AI question," and I don't mind. I'm a big fan of AI, and I've been playing around with so many different tools. I got today like a manus to build my landing page in literally 10 seconds. That was fantastic, and just like basically other tools like Perplexity, AI carousels, everything I love to work with that helps my team and makes my life easier, basically day-to-day basis. But when it comes to content, it's still not good enough when it comes to what we do. So when it comes to an optimized translation, which means with good keywords, with good keyword strategy and text that is localized, it is still not good enough. I would love to integrate AI into our workflow and to use AI for content and just maybe have it proofread by humans. But unfortunately, it is still not a good enough tool. So it's getting better, and it's probably going to be fantastic at one point, but I don't know when that is going to happen. And let me just give you one example. So we've had this brand. They were selling pasta machine, and then they wanted to go from the US to Italy. So it's kind of hard to sell a pasta machine to Italians, right? Even it's hard to sell something just doing translation word by word to anyone in another country, but especially because this is a pasta machine, you want to make Italians like it. So the source text said pasta machine like in Bella Italia. So to US Americans, like this sounds, this sounds like something authentic. But to Italians, like pasta like in Bella Italia doesn't sound anything. So it does not resonate well with them.
Yeah. So
I went to AI and they asked him like, so how would you localize this text a little bit, make it sound like it's coming from an Italian brand? So AI didn't do a good job for the third, fourth, fifth prompt, and I tweaked it finally after my sixth prompt to get this result. So the AI said, make pasta in a traditional way. This was the result of AI. So this is much better than Bella Italia, right? But then I went to my team and I was like, okay, like I want to see how humans think and how humans would put this, how they would translate this. So my team came up with this sentence. So the first sentence from, make pasta like in Bella Italia was translated to make pasta like your nonna or like your grandma. So when you say nonna to Italians, the first thing that you think of is homemade food, your grandma that bakes amazing dough, pizza, pasta, all homemade. This is what triggers an emotion. So when you translate something, when you localize it to a new audience, it has to trigger that same emotion. And when you say nonna, all of those good memories when you're a kid eating hot pasta at home, being happy and surrounded by your family, this is exactly what this translation triggers. And if you ask me, AI cannot translate in a way that it triggers an emotion, and this is what is going to resonate with the audience and also sell the product better than if you just had a plain text. Like this makes a difference. European audience loves to read the listing. Like in the US, like we're just gonna skim through the listing, and you're just gonna look for all the main words. But in Europe, especially like Germany, for instance, like you sit down and you read the text actually how it is, word by word, and you want to know the features. You want to think about it a little bit. If it's not well translated, it doesn't resonate with you, then just go on to another tab. And I mean, an average consumer has like 6-7 tabs open, so they will most likely go to another brand. So this is basically how it works. And AI still does not get that emotion translated well, and also it does not understand context all the time. Also, another important thing, I'm going to launch a new brand, and I was playing around with ChatGPT, like image creation, which is now pretty good on 4.0, the paid version. And then I made a packaging bottle, and it looked great. And I really love the colors, much better what my designer came up with. So it was like a really, really good mock-up. So it gave me blue and green colors and the orange one, like really like light colors, and I really liked it. It looked really nice. But then I told ChatGPT, I was like, can you add that it has 60 capsules on the bottom of the bottle? So it came up with a new mock-up, but the colors were completely different. They were much darker, and it did have the text 60 capsules. And I was like, no, can you go back to the previous colors and keep the 60 capsules?
It never seems to get that, does it?
It never went back to that. So why am I mentioning this? Because this is the same when it comes with content. So you can have ChatGPT write you a good title, but then if you say like, well, can you use this keyword as a first keyword, or can you use maybe amount of kitchen cloths being sold in this package? And then the second version might get it all wrong. It'll be like a complete mess, and you wouldn't know because you don't speak the language. So unless you have someone who's fully controlling it on your team, and most brands don't, no matter how big they are, it doesn't get the same thing twice. It's always something new. And when it comes to content, you're gonna really want to make sure that it makes sense.
Yeah, and if you're reading it over every time, like you're having someone that is actually a local language professional looking it over, and now they prompt it, they have to look it all over again. It's just not as seamless as you might imagine.
Yeah.
And your points of localization are really valid. I mean, we travel the world. We love to travel. And it's just very clear to see how people interact with one another in different countries. Some countries, people are very frank and to the point. You know, some people, like you said, their natural culture is, I want to read, I'm detail oriented, I want to find every little bit of information. In other countries like America, people are just glancing, and it really matters in how you come across. And just like in America, when we see a product that's, you can tell it's a Chinese factory selling it, it's very clear. Like this is a foreign brand that doesn't understand the English market. Those other countries see that like a big light bulb as soon as they go to a page that's just translated by Google Translate or something. It just doesn't resonate well. And they're immediately skeptical of, is this a quality product? Is it authentic? Is it legitimate? So there's a lot of harm that you could do to your brand by not being thorough and making sure it's actually written by a professional in a local language, right?
Yeah, exactly. And this is still something that I will always bet humans versus machines at this point, is that nuances that the humans will recognize and use, and like play with words, idioms, all of that. Last week I was at a conference, and there was like even a very big PSP that wanted to localize all of the texts. So it's not only brands that understand this, but also very big payment service providers that you would think, oh, like they only have like documentation and stuff like that. But for them, it's also important to localize the content to different audience in different countries that they're working with. So localization is not only important on Amazon, but it's also important off Amazon as well.
Yeah, no, it's very true. And I know you help people on D2C as well, not just Amazon and marketplaces, right?
Yeah, exactly. So D2C is slightly a different type of beast than Amazon. For D2C brands, you have to have also optimized website, like a Google SEO is really important. And let
Mhm.
me tell you one little secret, and that is how to get ranked better on Chat GPT or any of the AI tools. So the thing that there's like no shortcuts in that. Like you cannot make AI mention your brand just because like you're gonna do a prompt. But what you can do is have a website. Let's say if you are a brand, you have a Shopify website, and then you do whatever you can to be relevant for important keywords that your brand is. The brand is important about, for instance, like the category of like kitchenware or this or that, and you write as many blogs as you can using those keywords, and just like have a lot of very relevant keywords in your D2C website. And this will trigger AI also mentioning you in the search results, because it's very much connected with Google SEO, also on Bing. So Bing and Google make sure that you have SEO rich websites of Amazon as well that have the keywords that you, the brand, should be relevant for. This is exactly what we did with YLT. And if you type in what is the best uh, translation agency for Amazon listings, or Amazon listing translations, or any of the combination with those keywords, we could come up as the first agency. And this is something we've been working on, like the SEO Google has been important for us for years now. And I was really happy to see like that the AI actually picks up everything that Google gives you, like connects the dots from Google and Bing. So if you have a
Mhm.
brand, you should definitely utilize that as the power of SEO from Google to get better ranking on AI.
Yeah, and whatever translations you're doing is equally targeted at the consumer's, reading ability to understand, is it going to meet their needs, and is it going to have the right conversion rates, but also is it going to increase the findability through the right search keywords, right? So
Yeah.
that example you gave for the Italian, like made like your grandmother might make it. I mean, that part may not be relevant to the search terms, but a lot of the search terms are super relevant. Even little things like in the UK, they might spell color with a U, for example. Real simple. If
Yeah.
you're not picking up on these differences, like that's an example where last time I checked, anyway, Amazon did not make that same association. There was a different search result for when you spell
Yeah.
color with and without the U. So you've got to make sure you're speaking to the local, the local that's searching from that market, and how are they going to even spell words like that, right?
Yeah, and there's also like we work with a brand, and this lady, she was selling a diaper bag, and she just copy pasted like her entire listing, keywords, everything she had, and she started selling in the UK, and then she did not get the results she wanted. She said she was her product was showing for some completely relevant products. So when we took a look at her keyword results and all of it, she was actually ranked for diapers in the UK, but the problem is that the diapers in the UK are only referred as adult diapers. It's not kids' diapers, so she should have used the word nappies. But she didn't
Mhm.
even do the keyword research, because she was positive that because it's English, it doesn't really matter, because English
Yeah.
is English and everyone will understand the product. But the audience searches for different things. Even like if you check the keywords in the UK versus the US, it's going to be different set of keywords a lot of times. And
Yeah.
definitely like the diaper and nappies type of situation is not too rare. And she lost a lot of time and money, and she lost all of her rankings. So it took her a long time to get back and to just kind of be relevant for the search terms that she should have been relevant for from the very start. So that
Mhm.
is always important to have a different mindset, that like if the English language is not the same in two different countries, then just think about how different the audience is in a non-English speaking country. So that is also very, very important. And when selling in Europe or Japan or any other marketplace, the audience, when they read the listing, they want to feel like they're buying from a local brand, not from an overseas brand. a lot of times it's a major, turn off for audience or for buyers, that they think that they're buying from, something that is kind of really not that close to them, like that doesn't understand their needs. That is often a very, very big problem. But yes, just to echo what she said, of course, keywords are the most important thing that will help you find these products. So you can have this beautifully written text, but if you don't have the right keywords, it doesn't really matter. So keywords will trigger potential sales. It will make your product pop up before others. And then images, of course, is like the second most important thing, that images and text on images reads very nicely, because the first thing you see when you go to an Amazon page listing are those main images on the left. Nowadays, it's even more important because of Rufus AI and Cosmo and everything that Amazon's building, because whatever is on your pictures will make Rufus understand or not understand what your product should be relevant for. For instance, like if you're selling a travel mug, you should not have, if you have like a lifestyle image, you shouldn't have someone like cover travel mug with their hands like this, because the AI won't see it's an actual travel mug and any of the features that you want to show on the lifestyle images. And then all these prompts that come up from Rufus and Cosmo, you should integrate them in the lifestyle images, like all of those like frequently asked kind of questions that come up as like prompts by AI. You should put them like on your lifestyle images. That doesn't have to be like first 5 main images, but you can put them like on 7th to 10th image, and just kind of expand on that, so that you make sure to cover to show that these prompts are also being used in your product as well. So, I mean, nowadays it's getting everything is going to be like, how is AI going to read my product and recommend it? And I've also, read these data. There's like an Amazon shopping helper or AI shopping helpers that will make literally puts things in your cart and just check out instead of you, and just kind of everything made very, very easy. So I think definitely that's the future. That we're just like in the very beginning. I don't think Amazon Rufus works absolutely fantastic, but I think that you should have in mind to have a customer oriented listing, which basically something that you should have had in mind this whole time, not because of AI. I think that all of the listings should have always been written as a very like much customer centric listings, and not to sound weird to an audience that is potentially buying it. So if you've been focusing on that for the last couple of years, then you don't have anything to worry about. So that is just my 2 cents when it comes to AIs and everything, but now easier than ever.
Your point about the coffee mug, not being fully visible to an AI, I think that there's not enough sellers gravitating to revise their images just to speak better. Like you can actually ask an AI tool, tell me what this product is based on uploading the image. And if it doesn't decipher it properly, you're missing the mark. And to your point of localization, it needs to happen in the images too, right? So like if I was showing a kitchen in the US, the kitchen's going to look a lot different than a US or a kitchen in Italy, right? Or any other country in Europe, for example. The appliances are going to look different. The type of coffee machine they're using is going to be different. Maybe they're going to use a French press or something like that. You've got to have the right elements so that it speaks to the local language, like you said, in a way that feels like it's a local company that they feel comfortable buying with, that understands and can relate to them, and also doesn't give skepticism that this brand is disjointed with my market.
Yeah. But let me tell you, Steve, like out of like thousands of brands that we've worked with in the last 6 years, not a single brand has actually localized their images. They have localized text on images, but they have never, ever localized their images. And we've had brands that were selling different doorknobs or bathroom accessories. Like, you're selling to people who have a bidet in Europe. And like doorknobs are different. There's no like shower. The shower head is not fixed to the ceiling. Like there's so many big differences. And I think a couple of weeks ago I came across a brand that my team was working on, and they were selling wine glasses. But the pictures of these wine glasses really did not, like, I didn't think this was wine. Like the wine was poured in glass, because the wine was, it was like 8 ounces of wine, literally, like poured in this glass. And it looked like, and it was red wine. So I was wondering, like, is this like maybe like raspberry gin, or like some other drink? And the other was white wine. I was just like, maybe this is like apple juice, or like maybe even a beer. But I would never ever think that this was wine poured into these glasses. And they want to expand to Europe. And we also told them, like, listen, these are like 2 pictures of glasses. You don't even have to like make a photo shoot out of it. Just like pour just like little, like 2 fingers of wine bottle of the glass, and this will make it so much better, because there is a difference of like how wine is poured in Europe versus in the States in some places, and what people prefer. So it's like really important. It's like such a small detail, and I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't notice, but for instance, I noticed, and I was just like, man, like I kind of want this to be more like European style of like pouring wine into a glass. So you can see these examples everywhere. And it never ceases to surprise me how much brands do not think it's relevant, and how much brands do not care. And of course, as you said, like there are so many tools that will tell you like how the picture reads now. Like there's that image check. This is Amazon's tool. And then you can upload a picture, and then it will tell you what it sees on the picture, what is the functionality of the product. So there's like so many things that you can do. You don't have to pay anyone, or like it's not going to take forever to come up with something brilliant. So I think that while we are here in like the new era of AI, I think we should utilize everything we had. And I just also mentioned to you before we started recording that Manus is, like, for instance, an incredible tool. I've just started playing around with it. Like with one click, it can completely like do your whole brand landing pages, put it into your domain name, do a full like slides presentation. I mean, it's really incredible. This whole era that we're living in, really.
It's amazing. I love AI, and before we move on from the last point, I think that the one of the things that brands don't do is they don't ask the questions, and they don't take time to learn. So one of the beauties of having localized experts that know the space is that they can point out things that a brand may miss. Like we always tell our clients, localize the images is when you know that there's something that needs to be localized. But to your point, we travel enough that even the trim around, a room, if you're showing a room, or the doors, the hardware in the house, the kitchen appliances, there's so many light fixtures. There's so many things that are very different by region. And if you can portray that you are one of them, essentially, you're going to resonate better, and that's going to help you with your conversion rates. But you don't know what you don't know. So seek out expertise.
You don't think about it. Like, did you know, like, for instance, like, did you know that there's no Starbucks in Australia? Like, there's no coffee shops. Do you know why? So because Starbucks, just being Starbucks, they're like, we're just gonna open like thousands of coffee shops in Australia. This was like 7-8 years ago. But the problem was that the Australian coffee culture is closer to an Italian coffee culture, which is macchiatos, espressos, like, single shots of coffee. They don't like, cold brews or like Americanos. Like, they don't like that type of coffees, and especially not the frappuccinos and like heavily sugar coffee. They just really don't like it. So Starbucks failed to kind of adjust and localize their coffees like to the marketplace. They could have done something which would have been kind of more local, but they didn't, and they had to close every single coffee shop. They were doing so bad that till this day there's no Starbucks in the entire continent. Imagine that.
It is crazy to see the the brands that adapt to local markets versus those that don't. And
Yeah.
some, like to your point, those mistakes can be really costly because they just assume that whatever they have developed in one market is replicated, that can be replicated across the
Everywhere else.
world.
And we're talking about Starbucks, so we're not talking about a middle-sized brand that didn't think about it. Like, this is Starbucks, and then if Starbucks, like, if people do not want to adjust to Starbucks, but Starbucks needs to adjust to them, it sends a really important message.
Yeah. I was surprised when we were in Australia last year that Burger King operates under Hungry Jacks. It's just like little things where they just want to be, they want to have their own local twist to everything. And Burger King, was able to adapt in that manner, and it works. Sometimes forcing something on a market just simply doesn't work.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I know you mentioned Manus. What other AI tools do you find beneficial, and what kind of tips do you have for the audience about how to better use AI?
So for the audience that maybe seems lost in this whole sea of AIs, and also it is very overwhelming because like every 5 days there's a new revolutionary tool, and then whatever you've been using until yesterday is no longer relevant. So this
Yeah,
is
they jump frog over each other.
exactly.
Also,
So this is just like my life, and I kind of try to keep up with everything. And then a lot of times I fail, or I'm just like, oh, I've had enough, like whatever. But I like a couple of newsletters. The one is called Superhuman. That is probably like the first AI newsletter I came across. And then from our industry, of course, you have Kevin King's newsletter, and Ritu, she has an AI dedicated newsletter. Those are really, really great as well. But what I really like to do in order to understand a little bit better about new tools and things like that is actually go to Twitter. So when it comes to knowledge base and everything you can find, new prompts, how to making product placement from image to creating an actual video, like Twitter is where people uncover things, not LinkedIn, where people say, here is our, here image, and this is how we, put this Colgate paste into it. And if you type in, I don't know, help in comment, like I'll send you an SOP. And then this SOP that people send is just basically a pitch for their agency. So I haven't had much value actually. Like I didn't get much value in LinkedIn, but Twitter is incredibly valuable when it comes to learning about AI. So there are a couple of people that I follow, and the one guy I really like, his name is EGE. And then whoever, he follows, I follow him as well. And so, but he actually explains his prompts. He talks to people to ask him real questions. So he really educates people on like what is going on in the AI world and how to get something he was actually working on and posting. Because a lot of people will post a video, like incredible video, and they'll be just like, oh, it was this prompt, and they don't actually tell you the whole procedure. So then you think you're dumb, or that, something is missing and you can't figure it out. So like for me, number one place to go to educate yourself is Twitter. And I found it incredibly, incredibly valuable. And I was really surprised to see that Twitter is actually my go-to knowledge base for when it comes to AIs. When it comes to tools I like to use, I mean, like I use Midjourney, I use this and that. Today I go to ChatGPT and I create images and packaging and all of that. So for image creation, I think ChatGPT has now been amazing, the 4.0, and I pay $20 for the version, like that's it. And then I've been playing around with Kling because it's been better than Sora for videos for me. So you can create an image with product placement. And then you can just upload this image to Kling. You can describe what you want it to do, and then it can do it for like 10 seconds. And I've seen some people paste videos which are like 2 minutes long, but then they come from different angles. So what they do is basically they do like 20 videos of 10 seconds in Kling, and they kind of put it together in one video, which is like, it goes like very seamlessly. So you don't actually figure out that they made it out of 10 different 10-second videos. So I like that. Sora has not been that great for me, honestly, but Kling has been really, really, really good. And also like from some like deep dive searches, I like to use Perplexity. It is very, very good tool. Sometimes I get like much better results than ChatGPT. So
Like what kind of results do you find better?
So Perplexity is something that will like dig out everything you have online, and then it will kind of give you facts and stuff like that. Like ChatGPT is like for creativity and just coming up with ideas, and like Perplexity is not for that.
It's more like a search engine, but an AI powered search engine more so, right?
Basically that, yeah. But I like it. It really gives you some good information, something that you might not even think. What I really think about, like what I really like with Perplexity is that, for instance, I would search for something and then I would get the result, and underneath it, there'll be like 5 questions. And then I would click on that question. So for me, the most valuable with Perplexity is like that first list of the questions Perplexity comes up with when it comes to the topic I was researching, because a lot of times the questions will be really good to ask and I would not think of those, so that is like a good, like, just food for thought, honestly. Like, this is what I like Perplexity. And then I don't know, like there are AI carousels. I've used them a lot, like on my LinkedIn. I've played around with Manus, which has been really great. It did a lot of slides for me, like landing pages, pitch deck, like so many different things. And then for localization videos, I like HeyGen. This is really, really good. And they do this lip syncing option now that literally looks like you are speaking Chinese or Mandarin, or Chinese Mandarin. Sorry, it doesn't seem like Japanese, and it's really incredible. So you can use that for localization on videos. We've actually done that for a couple of clients. Localize the videos that way that you actually have the lip sync, and that is literally like a fraction of cost, because you would pay a fortune to find talent that speaks and looks and behaves like that, and like does a testimonial for your product. There's going to be a lot of AI influencers now that would be great for leaving the review for your product. There's just like a bunch of these tools that are great for UGC, and just video testimonials done by UGC avatars. Sometimes you don't even know, you can't recognize it. It is so well
good.
done. Yeah. Yes, and it's going to be even better. So that's going to be just really, really incredible. Yeah.
It's amazing how far things have come in just such a short period of time. Have you tried around? Have you tried Gemini's new image generation?
No, I haven't. I've tried Claude in the past, but I mean, I was not too happy with it. Like for me, like ChatGPT was much better. Especially the 4.0, 4.5 are much better than Claude.
I find that they each excel at different areas. I like Claude a lot for contracts. It does a really good job with contracts for me.
Oh, yeah. Well, I haven't tried it for contracts. It was other things that I was dealing with. Yeah, it might be good. I mean, every AI, as I said, every AI has its own specialty. So depending on what you need, you go to a certain AI. So
yeah. Gemini is supposed to be much better at images these days, and some of the tools that use the different AI connections are actually migrating to Gemini right now.
Oh, interesting.
There's another one I wanted to ask you about, but I can't remember.
Also, they've now integrated CapCut into ChatGPT, so you can actually create videos from scratch from ChatGPT. I've tested this and it's not that great. I mean, I love the idea, but I still think that it needs a couple of more versions until it gets really good that you can create videos from scratch in ChatGPT.
Cool. I didn't know that. How about Grok? Do you use Grok at all?
No, I don't.
Okay. So I found Grok to be good at some things as well. But they like you said, I like to really try multiple for the same task and see which one performs better.
Yeah, this is exactly what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely have their edge. It's all about what they're trained on more aggressively, and the instruction that was provided, and the data set that was provided to them to learn.
Yeah, and also, of course, my team uses Canva a lot. The AI in Canva, like their image creator, like it's not. I mean, it is limited by the number of like the how long the prompt can be. It has like character limits, but I think it creates decent images and like backgrounds and everything you need for social media. I think it's pretty good.
Our team uses Canva a lot too, and it just makes things so much easier these days to have simple, easy tools like Canva.
Yes, absolutely.
What do you think as far as brands that are trying to balance wanting to do everything globally, but not necessarily having the resources? What do you recommend as far as how they pave that path forward? Let's say they're only selling in the US. I know you help in a ton of global marketplaces. What should be their thought process about where should they plan to expand? What should that roadmap look like? And how do they evaluate where they have demand and where they have relevancy and so forth?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like basically a $1 million question that, I get a lot. I get that question a lot because people don't know where to expand. They're like, we have a budget, but we don't know what to do. We're afraid to blow the budget on a wrong marketplace. So what I think that brands need to do is to do a proper market research. What that actually means is that you need to make sure that the new marketplace will love your product. So there are a lot of tools you can use to check that. You can use Helium 10, Black Box. You can use Smart Scout. You can use all of these tools to see the data, to see profits, to see margins, pricing, your competitors, absolutely everything. And then once you've realized that there might be some profit, I suggest that brands take a look at the profit that the certain brand is making in the US and to see if this brand is selling, let's say in Germany, and see their profit margins over there. Because as we all know, revenue doesn't mean anything. I mean, there's so many sellers doing 7-8 figure revenue, but how much profit are they actually generating? Sometimes it's not quite much as you would expect. So I think the market research is mandatory when it comes to, like content, sales, when it comes to competitors. Like you sit down and do your homework. And also what I think is very valuable is actually asking your audience, like your new audience, will they buy your product? We've seen a lot of times that everything, like we've seen a couple of brands that had everything done right, the images and the PPC campaigns, keywords, all of that was doing great, but the product was just not selling. So for one of these brands, I went to my German team because there was like a huge flop on the German marketplace. And I have 13 people on my German team, and each one of them said that they hate the product and it's not very German and they would never buy it. And probably nobody that they knew would be buying that product. And I found that very, very interesting. So what I suggest sellers do is you don't have to, I mean, you can do polls, like you can go to Pickful or Product Opinion. All these are like great tools for that. But you can also go to Facebook expect groups and be like, hey, would you like to buy this product? It doesn't cost you anything except waiting for you to be approved in that group. And then you can ask, I don't know, 20 to 50 people. If 80% of them say no, then you know that there's maybe not a good marketplace for your product. But I think that the audience and the doing some sort of a poll with your new audience really will show you a lot. We have this report that we do. It's called Amor. It's Amazon Marketplace Opportunity Report. And we tackle a lot of different aspects of like, what is your opportunity score for this product? And audience, really, like when you go through all these answers, you see if people are excited about this product or if they're like, not sure, I wouldn't buy it, or the price is too high, or I think it's not a high quality product. You will see some of the opinions and some of the answers repeating. And then based off of that, you can also see if the product is, right or wrong. But when it comes to general, like, worldwide marketplaces, if you want to expand to Europe, then definitely you want to do UK and Germany being the biggest one after the US, just because you get the access to all of these other countries that don't have Amazon. They buy from Amazon Germany. So this is why Germany is actually the biggest marketplace, not because Germany is the biggest country, but because everything else, like all the other neighbor countries that don't have their own Amazon, are redirected to Amazon Germany and buy from there. So that is also really important. And then if you have maybe a product that is really good for Japan, then I definitely suggest trying there, because that is the third biggest marketplace, and competition is literally non-existent, and clicks are insanely cheap for that marketplace. Also, they do FBA, and you just need to do the translation, which is not that big of a deal. But I think that there were brands that we were helping expand. One of them is actually, we're now doing the National Geographics, those fossil kits, like they're going to Japan. And I think they're going to have an amazing success, because I think people over there like really love those things, and I think that you should definitely test out the waters for that marketplace, because not all bestsellers in the US and Europe do well in Japan. So you really have to try it out. But I definitely think it's worth it, because if you have the winning product, then I mean, it's going to pay off all of the research budgets that you blew on something else, just, by going to Japan.
Yeah. I'll add a couple things. One thing that we like to remind customers is, don't just go to the biggest marketplaces. Think about your product in isolation. Don't just say, okay, Germany's the next biggest, then UK, and then Japan. It's where is my individual demand? Like, for example, you may have a skincare product and it has huge demand in Asia. So Japan might be a really great fit for it, just because the size of the market going after that type of product might be really, really big, and it might be really in demand. But on the flip side, you may not be competitive in the market. Your product may not be appealing to the market. So do analysis and decide, where's my customer base, essentially. And when you do that, look at a bunch of different things, but one being, how much search volume is happening for key terms in those other countries. And of course you have to localize it. So if someone's searching for, let's say, a vitamin, they're maybe not going to use the same terms, but how many people are searching for that type of a term in the US versus UK versus Germany versus Italy, et cetera. And that'll gauge how much interest there is and how much demand. And then look at sales velocity with Helium-10 and other tools to see how much does that relate, and what is the mix of products? What are the price points? What are the types of products that people are gravitating? Usually there's a couple of real winners. Then you need to analyze, why are they winning? Why are they generating so much revenue? You may actually have a product that might be very much in demand, but your product packaging might be the wrong size. It might not be well suited to the local market, or the pricing may be way off. And by the way, pricing, I hear a lot of people that say they expanded, but they couldn't make any money. They didn't, there just wasn't enough profitability or something. You got to plan for all of the different costs that are involved and price accordingly. So obviously, if you're taking product and you're shipping it from China to the US and US to Europe, that's probably not the best use of, your inventory movement. On the shipping costs and duties and taxes and everything need to be contemplated. How can you get it to the local market as efficiently and cost effectively as possible? And then, are you accounting for the duties and the taxes? And even like some countries require different Amazon pallets, for example, in FBA. Now I have to source different pallets for that market. And am I going to incur other fees, prep fees and stuff, because I'm not following the FBA guidelines of that local market, because it does differ from time to time. All of those costs have to be considered, and then you price it ahead of time. This is where I need to price the product, and then you back into that and say, can I actually sell it at that price? If the answer is no, then you may not it may not be the right time or the right product because the pricing can't be competitive while still turning a profit. But I'd rather have you do that than ship it over with just a price currency delta, not counting all those other expenses, and then realize that you couldn't make any profit. And now once you've set a current retail price and you're trying to increase it, that's a harder challenge. Once you've developed a customer base, especially if it's a repeat purchase item. So a lot of things.
That is everything you said. Also, basically means that none of these brands have actually sat down and did their homework before they decided to expand, but they're doing it like the other way around, which I cannot, stress that enough, that you really have to sit down and know your numbers, calculate your margins, all of the shipping costs, warehouse, everything that could add some extra cost. You need to know all of this before you expand, because a lot of times it will happen, like you said, that brands don't make any money off their products, and then, or they might not even, like the worst, like they just kind of like go and don't even break even, but actually they end up filing for bankruptcy, like because of they expanded to new marketplace, because they stretched themselves too much as well, and they don't have actual business plan. So
and we always tell clients, if your primary business is in the US, don't start migrating to other marketplaces at all until you're 80 to 90% where you should be in the Amazon US, because it's the biggest opportunity. But have a roadmap of how you're going to get there. Usually we'll recommend expanding into other domestic marketplaces like Walmart in the US first, and then move into international markets. But those things take time. You got to put VAT in place. You've got to get all the operational elements. You got to have a 3P partner to be able to send inventory into, in the local area and handle returns. And you got to have all these plans. While you're doing that, planning accordingly, what's the demand? What are the price points I need to hit? What are the products? Maybe you just need to reinvent your product mix to better target that market. And by the way, you may actually want to sell to Amazon as a 1P vendor. Sometimes there's some markets where Amazon gives a lot more trust to the local market when it says ships from and sold by Amazon versus a third-party seller. You've got to contemplate all of these things and have a sound approach for what is my expansion plan, what are the pieces I need to put in place, and how am I going to get there, and over what period of time, and just pave that path. And don't make excuses afterwards. Like, a lot of times, that happens all the time, where like we see it a lot on Walmart. Oh, I tried expanding on Walmart. It didn't work for me. So I don't ever give it any attention. I start asking questions like, well, did you differentiate the content on Walmart? Did you focus on your listing quality score? Did you utilize WFS for fast shipping? Did you ingest your reviews from your website? And a lot of times they're like, no. And it's like, well, you didn't give it a chance then. Their algorithms work completely different. Well, international is the same way. If you're going to do it, you might as well do it right. Don't just do it, haphazardly and throw it up there and hope it's going to work the same as it in the US without localizing and doing all the things that we know is so necessary. Even different, promotional periods. If you're not close to what the calendar looks like over there, you're not getting behind key events and your competitors are, you could be giving up a lot of market share just by not having the right promotional strategy in place at the right time.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is so important. And I think this should be like a checklist that every brand should have, saying like, did I check this? Like, did I do this? And then after that, they can be like, okay, let's do it, or let's not do it. Let's grow our brand a little bit more in the US. And then maybe, we can think about doing it next year or whenever we are ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Jana. This has been outstanding. Why don't you tell the audience how they can reach you if they want to connect?
Sure. So the best way to reach me is on LinkedIn. I love sharing content like this. I do a lot of videos with analysis of like what the brands are doing wrong, what they could do better. So if you enjoyed the episode, I would like for you to follow me on LinkedIn. And also if you want audit of your listings that are maybe underperforming, we're happy to show what the low-hanging fruit is when it comes to your listing. So you can always drop an email at info@ylt-translations.com.
Perfect. And once again, my name is Steve Yates at Prime Guidance. And if you'd like to reach us, you can reach us at primeguidance.com. And of course, we will be happy to have a free introductory call and give you some free advice and talk about how we can potentially help you as well. So thanks so much for joining. Until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.